Happy Wednesday. Oh, I'm making a mess with my tea. I much prefer this spot and this setup, and I much prefer doing this in the morning. I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do tomorrow. See if I can get up a bit earlier and actually just set up my ring light and sort it out. It's too dark at 5 o'clock in the morning. So, I pulled a card today for us. I actually pulled a card that I haven't pulled before. The Dream. It's quite beautiful. Of course it is. Stupid cards. Very fitting. Alright, you ready? Some enchanted evening you're going to meet your soulmate, the perfect person who will meet all your needs and fulfill all your dreams, right? Wrong. This fantasy that songwriters and poets are so fond of perpetuating has its roots in our memories of the womb, where we were so secure and at one with our mothers. It's no wonder we have hankered to return to that place all our lives. But to put it quite brutally, it is a childish dream, and it's amazing that we hang on to it so stubbornly in the face of reality. Nobody, whether it's your current mate or some dreamed-of partner in the future, has any obligation to deliver your happiness on a platter. Nor could they, even if they wanted to. Real love comes not from trying to solve our neediness by depending on another, but by developing our own inner richness and maturity. Then we have so much love to give that we naturally draw lovers towards us. Sound familiar? This has been said again and again, down through the ages. All the religious people have been saying, we come alone into this world, we go alone. All togetherness is illusory. The very idea of togetherness... Lincoln! Oi, move. Move. Don't look confused. Come, move. Yes, you can step over. Silly Billy. Hey, come, say hi. Are you? Are you going to be the source of my happiness? You're going to make me happy? You do make me happy. You do make me happy. Alright, let's finish reading this. He's spotting the neighbor's big dogs. Oi, go to bed. Go to bed. Good boy. What did we get to? We come alone into this world, we go alone. All togetherness is illusory. The very idea of togetherness arises because we are alone, and the aloneness hurts. We want to drown our aloneness in a relationship. That's why we become so involved in love. Try to see the point. Ordinarily, you think you have fallen in love with a woman or a man because she is beautiful or he is beautiful, but that is not the truth. The truth is just the opposite. You have fallen in love because you cannot be alone. You are going to fall in love. You are going to avoid yourself somehow or another. And there are people who don't fall in love with women or men. They fall in love with money. They start moving into money or into a power trip. They become politicians. That too is avoiding your aloneness. If you watch man, if you watch yourself deeply, you will be surprised. All your activities can be reduced to one single source. The source is that you are afraid of your aloneness. Everything else is just an excuse. The real cause is that you find yourself very alone. It's this part. It's this bit that is so true. And again, it's taken me a long time. It's taken me a long time to get to this point where I realize that this is true, but it's nobody has any obligation to deliver your happiness on a platter, and nor could they. Like, everybody's trying to figure out this world for themselves as well. It was one of the best things my husband ever said to me when we first started dating, actually, because he'd had this issue with his previous girlfriend. And he was like, I cannot be your entire source of happiness. Changed my life. Get your own hobbies, have your own friends, have things together. Two complete people make more of a weapon as a couple than two people feeling like they're half people and needing the other person. I find this the same with building online and creatives, and again, what happened with my business partner and separating. We have the abilities to create these things ourselves. Become individually safe before you start teaming up with others or expecting others to do the work for you. I think that's where a lot of partnerships go wrong in business. People come in and then there always seems to be an imbalance. I guess same thing in relationships. Nobody else is responsible for your happiness. Nobody else is responsible for how you feel success. Nobody else is responsible for how you feel joy in this world. And I think it's so easy to just distract ourselves with everything outside, or it's the I can only be happy when, I can only be excited when, it's too, everything's too difficult right now, I can't until something else happens. And just that outsourcing, I don't know. I feel like this is what it. I don't know why I keep saying I don't know all the time. I don't know. I don't know. And then I just spell things that I feel like I know. Maybe it's a caveat to be like, don't quote me on it, because I don't know for you, but I know for me. Another funny thing. I think this is why it's funny, we actually had one of the guys at the gym, um, art teacher for one of the schools out here. Very cool dude. I was asking him a couple of questions about how to finish my piece with some of the black acrylics that I was working with weren't sticking. He was telling me that he was geeking out a little bit on these coffee makers. And I was getting really excited about it for him. And he came in the other day, or a couple of days later, and I said, how's the coffee machine? How is your morning coffee? How is this? And he was like, oh, that's very kind, but you don't have to ask if you don't. And it was that, like, why do we always cover or try to excuse the things that we're actually excited about? Like, this gentleman is genuinely excited about diving down this little coffee rabbit hole, and I would rather hear about coffee from him, because I'm not going to go learn about it. I'm not a coffee connoisseur. But you start telling me like how you're geeking out on different beans and grinders and all this sort of stuff, and that fascinates me. Because I can also see how many rabbit holes you would have had to have gone down to even start finding your own tastes in this world. And I think that's a big thing. Jordan Peterson had said that many, many years ago. It's like, make your life beautiful. Art, beauty, like, everybody has a sense of taste and style, and it's not always something that you're naturally born with. You actually have to learn how to develop it, learn how to go find things that you like find things that are aesthetically pleasing. I think that comes back into that Sims episode that we talked about, right, where environment was on one of those bars, and it was such a big thing. Like, if you didn't have paintings on the walls of your flat, or you didn't have little plants around, the environment bar would be down, which means you're not enjoying your surroundings and where you're living, which means you're not probably then sparking mass creative ideas. It all feeds into itself, and we all have these very interesting perspectives. Like, none of us are the same. None of us are, like, no one's gonna know your life and your preferences more than you. And because we're so separated from that for so long, and we're taught to ignore it and don't pay attention to that, and oh, that's just a silly little thing. Like, the more I come out of this little bubble, the more, I was going to say annoyed, but I guess it's all cross to bear as we go through some of these systems. Some of us are born into families that have the ability to not put us through the school system, or put us through homeschooling, or, and I think it's very easy in that phases of generations to always go, oh, I would have done it this way, or I would have done it better. And every generation will always say that about the previous one. There's always something that the next one would have done better. It's like, great, you go do that for the world. But cultivating your own identity and your own sense of style and your own enjoyment and things that you like, it takes time to even figure out what hobbies you like. I was very bad at this. Like, I mean, I was consumed for a long time. Sorry. I gotta get a tissue on my nose. So stupid. Gosh. This incessant rain and aircon. I've just got this constant, like, little leaking nose. And it's not don't feel sick. I almost feel like I've been teetering on the edge of being run down, but I feel fine. It's just my little nose. I'm getting all snuffly. Anyway, where were we? Take a sip of my Lady Grey. I was saying before, even coming to like creators and stuff, and I've said this to some of my mates, I'm sure there are loads of projects that I'd love to be able to do with other people, but until I've built my own base and until I'm enjoying what it is that I'm doing, the teaming up of others, I think it puts far too much pressure on other people. I mean, I remember even 2 years ago when we were running these things with, running these AI challenges during the summer, me and Christy and Ryan. Christy and Ryan were a couple based out in Bali. They still are. They're amazing. They're out there. Fighters, awesome, brilliant people. And I still remember how fast they were working with certain stuff and how quickly they were getting things done. And at some point I was feeling like I wasn't really pulling my weight, even though being in the sessions and doing the things, like everybody gets to play to their strengths. And I think that's also where developing your own compass, your own strengths, your own skills, whatever that is. It doesn't have to be coaching or front facing or whatever. Again, you want to geek out and be a hobbit in a hole and start making things, and nobody can tell you what's going to make you happy. And I think that's the problem. We've been conditioned to expect it from others or outsource it or buy it in a thing that's going to temporarily make us happy. And then 2 weeks later, and then we start collecting all these material things. And it's like, why? For what? It's just interesting. It's amazing how it's always the opposite. It's always the opposite. It's always the opposite. It's just, you sort of got to look what everything common advice is saying and just be like, realize that it's common advice for a reason. And I feel like this is where these ruminating traps and these, it's almost like, what is it called? I think it's called an eddy, where the water gathers in the side of a stream or something. And, not getting stuck in it. Maybe it's not that. I know an eddy is something to do with water and little thing. Anyway, I'm sure somebody can let me know down below. But I just see this visual of this just like circling water, and then a stream that allows you to go down that way and carry on, and something from where you've come. But it's just, you get stuck a little bit when you're ruminating on different things or when you're learning a new skill. Like there's an element of, unfolding, unpacking, and building a certain skill set that then once you've got to a certain point, you need to then realize that your checkpoint's done there and move to the next one, and then build the next thing and build those foundations and then get yourself up and moving. And I've talked about it before, like the health and wellness industry will keep you in a trap of, ruminating on the past for so long that you get stuck in it, that you're not even remembering to look forward. And it's very easy to go so deep down in some of these rabbit holes, forgetting that the lessons come through living and through the action of doing. And I know I was very guilty of this. I've spent every waking hour, every waking minute researching and learning about content creation, about strategies, about offers, about this, about the perfect this, about this. And I was always, looking back, I was still trying to search for that one thing that would be able to set it and forget it, or the one key or the one secret that will unfold it all. And I think like that card so nicely said as well. Get it. Sorry, bear with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here. Real love comes not from trying to solve our neediness by depending on another, but by developing our own inner richness and maturity. Then we have so much love to give that we naturally draw lovers towards us. And I think that's that whole fill up your own cup first analogy, and that you can't pour from an empty cup and you can't give when you're in lack. I think that's the push pull that a lot of creators and business owners find themselves in. I see, they want to be able to give more, but they're barely scraping the surface of themselves. So they're trying to be giving, but it's got this desperation attached to it. And it was another thing that Shoshana Raven had said. I've joined her little obsessed month challenge this month. She always does Money March, and then this is the second year she's run Obsessed. She's brilliant with the pricing. She opens it for $11, and then it keeps doubling until it hits 1,100 and whatever. And then she closes doors. But there's already 1,000 people in the group. So whether even if they've only all paid 11 grand or if they've all jumped up at different things, the fact that she's gathered over the years that many people. It's the same thing I think I said yesterday with Becca Pike's stuff about being an overnight success, 7 years in the making. The first Hell Yes Live that she did was a barbecue at her house that she called a business conference, and like 4 people showed up. Then the following year she rented a room. Again, 4, 6 people showed up, 8, 12, year after year, and now I think she's got about 100 people going to her business conference, flying in from all over the fucking world, like it's happening today. I'm so excited for her. Like, it's just, even last year, what she pulled together was insane. I will be in that room next year. I have a really good feeling about that. I will be back in her circle by the end of this year. Again, it was that, like, even when I was jumping into mentorships or communities, I was still almost arriving, expecting that they would fix it for me. And there's part of that with mentoring where you've got them as a sounding board, but at the end of the day, you have to go out and do the work, and you have to be the human being that can hold the capacity of the dreams that you are dreaming. And when you are dreaming big, you gotta raise your internal standards, and that's that internal work. It's like the gym. I can't do your reps for you. If I train, it benefits me. If you train, it benefits you. So learning these skills, learning your style, learning your stuff. It's the same way that, people go into these coaching communities, they realize that the coach only has one way of doing things because it is the one way that they got taught how to do things from their mentor, which then worked. And then more often than not, a few months down the line, after you see these people go through these cycles, they then do something different. And it's like, yeah, but what got you here won't get you there. Understood. But it's like, you can jerry rig the beginning up to a certain amount. It's then building it long term and building it to the scale that you want in something that you want. Like, it has to be fueled by your own desires. That's more than just income. And I know it's easier said than done. And that's why, even like I've been in this position where I realized that desperation was starting to come back into my marketing. And I was like, I refuse. I refuse. You have to want it more for the other person than you want it for yourself. And I think that's the cycle that not a lot of creators put themselves in at the beginning. They don't put themselves, well, I can't speak for everybody, but I know me. When I came into this industry, I was that desperate. I was looking for something that was going to save me, but it was outside of myself. I wasn't assuming that I was going to be the one that was going to save myself. And that's it. Like, it's you. It is you. Surprise! You want more? Become more. Luckily, as human beings, we get to grow. And the more stress and resistance we put on our body and the more scary things that we do, we grow. That was the last thing I'd put in that she'd mentioned in the call yesterday that stuck as well. It's like bravery is the price of entry. Courage is the price of entry. You have to go through it. You have to go through these feelings. It's trial by fire. Like that and realizing that it's not gonna kill you, putting yourself on camera or doing the reps. And again, you get to do this quietly. You don't have to broadcast everything if you don't want to, and if that pressure works the wrong way for you, if it puts too much, because again, usually at the beginning of the journey, we're assuming that it's going to take a lot shorter than it is. A lot shorter than it is. Whatever calculation you've made for how long it's going to take you to do something, double it. And then add a little bit. I was talking about that yesterday, about the subtags and subtasks and toggles that always open when you go and do one simple thing. And then you realize there are 15 other things you need to do before you get to the one simple thing. But life is like that. It's like these puzzle pieces that are, pulling everybody into place, and you got to keep putting your pieces of puzzle, and sometimes you'll start building a piece over there, and sometimes you'll start building it over there, and eventually it'll start all coming together, and you see the picture, but it's all in the reps. You can't escape the reps. You can move through fast. This is the thing. What's crazy is that the quicker that you can let go of everything, the quicker that you can step into each day without bringing all this baggage, and the quicker that you can be open and light and fun, and I think most of the people, I love how I'm saying that, it's not even most of the people, I'm just comparing myself to where I was when I started this journey versus now. It's like there was just this heavy energy, and too right, like I'd been through a lot, moved a lot, and it was when we came back after China, after I'd had my initial injury when I was 25, that I'd said to myself, you're going home, you're going to get yourself better, but you are not allowed to move. You have to stay in one place for 5 years, and you have to build something for yourself. Because I'd been notorious the years before that, spending 2 years in London, summer in Ibiza, chopping and changing, like moving all over the place, and it was easy to kind of run away. And then when you get to a new place, you like kind of reset. And then you don't realize that you've just sort of brought all your old tendencies into your new environment, assuming that your new environment is going to fix it. But if you keep bringing all your own stuff with it, you are the common denominator of all your problems. The grass is greener where you water it. And so I think it's that. Like it's slow down, stop, look around. Where are you at? Where do you want to go? What are you not doing? Simple things. Taking care of yourself. Taking care of your, just taking care of yourself. And being okay that that is the job. And that by doing that and by figuring out what actually makes you excited, what actually sets yourself on fire, not what other people should do, and that's already enough of a challenge of it as it is. This is why I do the charts with my clients, and this is why I make sure that they're mandatory for my one-on-one clients, because your guess is as good as mine. You come to me, I will believe what you say. You say you want this, we will build towards that. But I shit you not, underneath all of those, there's at least 3 or 4 sub-layers where we can barrage down in that direction, but if we do that and then you decide to, and you're like, then we got to turn. And, that doesn't negate the time that it takes to get something off the ground. I think I had to get to that point with my sister where we were trying to build things together and work on things together, but we'd always get to a project where either we'd finish it and then we'd half-ass trying to get it out so it didn't work, which meant that we didn't build it any further or have it go anywhere. That's what happened with the essential oils book that we wrote and I illustrated that summer when I was injured and I couldn't move around. I was stuck at home. I couldn't even walk or help with the work or anything or bring in an income. So we built a book. We created something out of nothing that we could then sell, but then we didn't know fully how to sell it, and we didn't have the income behind us to actually push out ads or then to build out the website. And again, that whole it takes money to make money, it's like, yes, I know. You can create something from nothing, but then also what are you using to buy the materials? What are you using to buy this? And being able to have some sort of play money that once you've built something to actually either pay somebody to hook it up online or push out some ads, that then makes it more fun. If you're always skimping right on the edge of everything and you have no room to breathe and no room to play, I think that's where I always said to myself why I'd never learned how to cook properly. Because I couldn't afford to burn it and buy my food again. And that play, it takes time, and it does take practice and some income and resources if you need, whether that's time off that you're then not working so that, or whether that's software or subscriptions or supplies, like, that's why finding what is important to you makes so much of a difference, because when you find what's important to you, it's very amazing how quickly you can manifest things. Because it all seems quite clear. It's like, okay, well, if I like this and it's going to cost me that, then what are the skill sets that I have, or what are the, what am I working with? How can I then earn an extra amount of this? How can I earn an extra amount of that? How can I siphon off some of what I've got coming in so that I can build a little pile so that I've got something to play with for that. make it work, make it move, make it real, like bring it to life. But only you can bring it to life. And I just realized I feel like I could sit here and chat with you guys all day, but it's been 25 minutes and I actually got to go into work. On the gym floor, I got one this morning, and then I'm actually chatting with one of my stunt women clients, so I'm very excited to touch base with her. And yeah, another day, we go again. But it's funny life that we live in. But avoiding the harder questions, avoiding the internal questions, you're going to have to figure them out at some point. I think that's why the celebrities and famous people, the ones that commit suicide, people can't quite wrap their head around. They're like, oh, but you had all of this, you had this, you had this, you had this. It's like, can we please see that that's happened enough times that the money isn't the answer, and the should lifestyle also isn't the answer. Because if you keep following enough of everybody else's shoulds, you end up with all this success and all this happiness and everybody around you going, oh, why aren't you just happy with your life? And you're like, well, because it's not the one I chose. And you're the one that has to live with that. So, and then when you've built that persona around you, gosh, imagine, it's bad enough you feeling like your identity is dying to move into something that you actually want and battling with that, let alone building yourself into the full identity of something you feel like you should have been doing, and then reaching that and going, oh, this is not what I want. And having to backtrack from that. And I think that's where I've been reminding myself with my patients with over the last 4 or 5 years. It's like, I don't care how many people overtake me on this journey. Overtake me again, weird, like everybody has their own journey. It doesn't matter. I've watched it happen so many times and I've seen the cycle. Boom, you get to these levels and then there's depression sits in because you've built it out of someone else's machine, and then you've got to find your own way. So whether you do that with money or no money, it's up to you. But finding that testing, I think, taking the pressure off it. And this is where, again, I start telling my clients now, what is the most ludicrous way we can make some money for you, even if it's just a little bit, just to prove to your mind that it's possible, just to get yourself out of this, oh no, it has to be a certain way, or it has to be this perfect. Nope, doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. Weird rules you impose on yourself. But check in. The answers are in there. They really are. They really are. And then how do you get comfortable enough to be your own best friend, to kick your own ass into the right direction? Especially if you aren't, if you don't have your pit crew around you. Dream big, guys. And go get it. Nobody else is going to go get it for you. And I believe in you. But drop your wacky mammy ideas down there. You don't know how to do it? Book in a strategy session. Let's set the brickwork. Let's lay the foundations. Let's light up the runway. I don't know why I just did that. All right, I'm good. I'm done. Love you guys.